It's incredibly taxing as a parent to watch your child struggle with persistent fatigue, mood swings, or signs of inflammation. And when you see the trifecta, those three things, tiredness, irritability, and physical signs like swollen lymph nodes or joint pains or digestive distress, we aren't just looking at a mood or a phase. We're looking at something deeper. We're looking at a system that's struggling to maintain that homeostasis, that balance of wellness. It can go off track, but it needs to return. Now, in my 20 years of clinical experience, I often see that modern pediatric care tends to label these symptoms as growing pains or stress, or worse, reaching for a prescription to suppress the symptoms. That really breaks my heart. Now, from a naturopathic perspective, we don't treat the label, we look for the root cause of the systemic imbalance. In this video, I'm going to cover the big 5 reasons for disruption in wellness in your child. Then I'm going to cover the easiest steps to start now to shift them to better wellness. Now here is the holistic landscape of why many children today are struggling with this tired, moody, inflamed cycle. And number 1, chronic infection and latent pathogens. Now, we need to talk about the immune load on a body. Now, everyone gets it, but especially children. They're exposed to so many things. And many children are carrying a low-level, persistent viral or bacterial residual that they aren't acute enough for a doctor to treat with surgery or heavy-duty drugs. They're good for that, but they're significant enough to keep the child's immune system trapped in a constant battle mode. This is often seen with lingering glandular fever, that Epstein-Barr virus, or stealth pathogens that hang out in the tissue or the gut. Now, because the immune system is dedicating all of its energy to that silent war internally, there's this little energy left for the child to have a vibrant wellness or energy to play, learning, or even emotional resilience. This creates that feedback loop. The body is tired because it's fighting, and it can't fight properly because it's tired. And a naturopathic approach focuses on immune modulation using gentle botanical-based support to help the body recognize the clear latent loads internally. Now, effectively, this unsticks that block cycle in that immune system so it can return to a state of surveillance rather than combat and function normally. Now, number 2, the gut-brain inflammation axis. We can never leave out the digestive system, can we? I'm always talking about that because the gut houses 70 to 80% of the immune system. And when a child's gut lining becomes irritated and inflamed, we have a condition called intestinal permeability. Undigested food particles, toxins, and bacteria byproducts like lipopolysaccharides escape into the bloodstream through that leaky gut. Now, this triggers a massive systemic immune response, effectively putting the entire body on high alert. And because the brain is physically connected to the gut via the vagus nerve, the inflammation doesn't just stay in the gut. It causes neuroinflammation in the brain. Now, this directly targets the region of the brain response for impulse and emotional regulation. That's why you see sometimes the meltdowns and irrational thinking in a child. Now, it isn't always a behavioral issue. It's an inflammatory one. We're constantly seeing the body challenged by glycophosphate residual products, synthetic food dyes, and highly processed flour and foods, leading to this constant state of immune-induced fatigue. Number 3, the modern toxic nutrient paradox. We're currently witnessing a massive nutrient depletion that mimics chronic illness. Modern ultra-processed foods are essentially anti-nutrients. That's right, anti-nutrients. They require the body to spend its internal stores of minerals just to process the artificial dyes, preservatives, coloring, and excessive sugar, which is probably the most common one. Now, for example, metabolizing refined sugars requires significant amounts of magnesium and B vitamins. They're the very nutrients a child needs to maintain a stable mood and nervous system. Now, when these stores are exhausted, the body enters a state of metabolic dysfunction. Without adequate zinc-copper ratios, they're often out. Enzyme production stalls and it doesn't work properly. And without sufficient omega-3 fatty acids as well, the whole cell membrane literally becomes rigid. And this affects how neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine are delivered, leading to that characteristic shutdown or moody behavior. By swapping out refined nutrients with the nutrient dense ones like bone broth, healthy fats, grass-fed butter, and mineral-rich whole foods, we're essentially refueling the system. Number 4, circadian disruption and light toxicity. Now, human physiology is built on a 24-hour cycle. Of course, the sun's coming up, setting. And when the sun hits the child's eyes in the morning, it sets a timer for cortisol and melatonin, that's that sleepy one. Modern living has completely shattered this. Blue spectrum artificial lights from late night tablets and LED screens trick the pineal gland into thinking it's still midday. This prevents the release of melatonin, meaning the child isn't getting that deep restorative sleep. They might be sleeping, but they're not getting a restful deep one. A deep sleep is when the brain's glymphatic system cleanses itself from metabolic waste, and that accumulates through the day and then cleans out. If that cleaning process never really happens, the child wakes up with a brain that's literally still dirty and inflamed. Now, over months and years, this leads to a state of chronic fatigue, and no amount of extra sleep on the weekend can fix it. It leaves them stuck in that permanent, grumpy, sympathetic, dominant state. Number 5, electromagnetic fields, EMF, and environmental stress. Now, EMF exposure is often overlooked, stresses that contribute to oxidative stress at a cellular level. It's a bit woo-woo, but a lot of research is suggesting that high-frequency electromagnetic fields can increase that opening of the voltage gate calcium channels in our cells. Every single cell has that. When these channels stay open too long, this causes an influx of calcium into the cell. This contributes to the production of nitric oxide and superoxide, leading to an increased oxidative stress. And this is the inflammation that we get. Now, from a developing child whose nervous system is rapidly wired and firing and constantly exposed to that, can lead to this state of nervous system exhaustion. Now, think of it like a radio that's always playing static in the background. The child might not feel the EMF, but their nervous system is straining to process it. By minimizing wireless exposure in the home, especially in the bedroom, and encouraging free time away from the router, you can allow the child's nervous system to finally decompress and return to nature and calm and frequency. It's got to be constant. Steps to heal your child. Instead of managing the symptoms, I look at the fundamentals. Number 1, audit the diet. Move to a nutrient-dense whole food diet, increasing anti-inflammatory foods like omega-3s, real butter, avocado, and remove inflammatory triggers like seed oils and unstable sugars. Keep a diet diary on the fridge to record your scores of the energy levels and mood and even toilet frequency. It helps to notice subtle changes throughout the week and link them to the foods. Number 2, check the nutrient status. Investigate cellular levels of vitamin D, ferritin, and magnesium. You can check those in the red blood cells. Now, deficiencies here are the most common culprits for unexplained fatigue. I personally use functional medicine with my patients, and this doesn't always need to be a needle. My own son hates needles and opts for a urine or saliva function test any day over a blood draw, so I get it. Now, nature connection. Number 3, put bare feet on the earth, grounding, and ensure exposure to the morning sunlight. This helps reset the circadian rhythm and lowers systemic inflammation. Try to build a routine and keep it going daily for the best results. Number 4, digestive support. If the gut is inflamed, the child cannot absorb the nutrients they need to heal, right? You need a good, healthy gut to absorb the nutrients. And look for signs like food sensitivities. They're often there, just subtly in the background. And the thing child craves often is the thing they're sensitive to. Strange, huh? Now, probiotic foods are helpful, but if the digestive system is already disrupted, they can actually make it worse. So it's better option would be to use a probiotic powder or a capsule. Don't settle for the idea that your child is just difficult or lazy. They're usually communicating their physiological foundation is lacking. There's something internally going on. And when you provide the body with the right resources and remove the stresses, you often find that the mood stabilizes and the inflammation drops, which means healthier child. Now remember, you're the primary advocate for your child's health, yeah? You're the wise one, you're the parent. You don't have to accept a wait and see approach. If you think something's off and your child can be healthier, you can do something about it. This video has only touched the surface to understanding children's health and their optimal wellness potential. Now you can build on more learning by watching this video right here.